All right, the showdown with Bo Porter. This is awesome. Like, I figured we could arm wrestle or something here. Go at it. You're looking sharp today, though. All right, so the Dodgers take 2 out of 3 over the weekend against the San Diego Padres. Are the Dodgers now the favorite in the NL West?
Well, to me, I've picked San Diego. They're actually my World Series pick. But when you look at the start of the season, the Dodgers have played better baseball than the San Diego Padres to this point. Yes, it was a statement weekend, and the Dodgers came out on top. I still believe that the Padres will win the National League.
So you do? You think the Padres will still do that? Because here's the thing. I was at the game on Friday in San Diego. Darvish against Kershaw. Great game. Fernando Tatis Jr., the 2 home runs. They win it on Friday, but then Saturday and Sunday, the tide has turned. Mookie Betts, obviously, the big home run in the 9th inning to tie it up yesterday. 2 outs in the 9th. He homers. Bush gets the RBI single in the 10th inning, and then Outman with the 2-run homer, 5-2 win. So I look at these two teams. I have the Dodgers not even making the playoffs. That's what I thought. I looked at their offseason, and I said, I don't see it. I don't, Bellinger was out. They don't have either Turner on the left side of the infield. And I thought those guys are core guys. And then going with young players, I hate to say it, but I don't trust young players as much, right? Because they can be inconsistent. They don't all step in and play like 20-year veterans. And I worried about their pitching staff a little bit. Kershaw, a year older. I didn't know what they were going to do in the bullpen. So they pieced it together so far, but they're just a couple games over 500. I'm still not buying the Dodgers.
I think when you look at the Dodgers and you have Freddie Freeman and you have Betts and Muncy swinging the bat the way he's swinging the bat, they will find a way to get into the postseason. I agree with you as far as their depth go. They're going to need to make a trade for a shortstop. So if they get a shortstop at the trade deadline, someone who's a two-way person that can actually swing the bat a little bit more, I see them getting into the playoffs. But collectively, the Padres, their team is just too deep for the Dodgers to be able to contend with come the postseason.
Yeah, Tim Anderson be a good fit for the Dodgers.
That would be a really good fit.
Be a really good fit. All right, what is more important? Makeup or talent? We alluded to it a little bit earlier. Some issues with the White Sox with character and makeup on the team, but it just doesn't feel like, feels like something's missing. When I was an assistant in the Mets front office, we actually had the draft where Manny Ramirez was being discussed out of high school. I saw him in high school. And we had given him an evaluation, a caliber test, a psychological test, and it came back that he had low self-esteem. And that the guy interpreted it said he's got low self-esteem, which means that if he gets into a slump, he might not get out of it. Here I was, like 25-year-old, administrative assistant. I raised my hand with all of these old-time scouts. And they go, Steve, you don't have to raise your hand. I said, yeah. I said, but I don't think he's ever going to go in a slump, so we won't have to worry about his self-esteem. Character and makeup. We would not have drafted Manny Ramirez because we didn't think he had the makeup that made sense for us. We had a lot of really nice guys, but we didn't have talent. What is more important, makeup or talent?
Character counts, makeup matters. Yes, this is a talent-driven league, but a player's ability to maximize his talent will be directly related to his makeup. I remember I was coaching for the Florida Marlins at the time, and Larry Bonfest, the general manager, comes to me early in spring training. He says, listen, we have 3 outfielders. One of them are going to have to go because they're out of options. And I looked at those 3 players. I told him, I said, you know what? I said, give me a little time. I'll come up with a decision of what I believe we should do. It's amazing what you find out when you talk to your players. So in a conversation just talking to these players, I talked to them. I said, hey, man, you guys look like you're going to stay in the game when you finish playing. If you were the coach, tell me, what type of coach would you be? One of the players said, you know what? He said, Bo, you're going to be a manager. I'm going to be your bench coach because I love the strategic part of the game. The next player said, you know what? I like breaking down pitchers and preparing hitters. I'm going to be a hitting coach. The third guy said to me, he said, you know what? I think I'm just going to be the first base coach and, collect the guy batting gloves and tell him how many outs it is. I went to Larry Bonfest. As soon as we came in, listen, trade this guy. He asked me why. I said, a person will tell you a lot when they start to tell you what they're willing to work for, what they're willing to do. So to me, makeup is, you can't really quantify it unless you know the person. That's why it's so important.
Yeah, so it's difficult because when you're building a team, you can't just bring in a bunch of milk-drinking good guys. You'd like to, but there's no perfect player, right? They're not all great makeup and great talent. I wanted talent because I realized in our organization we had a lot of really nice kids that weren't players. I said, go get me the talent, then tell me about the makeup. What do I need to do to manage this player? What do I need to do to push buttons with this player? What do I need to do to get the veterans around this player to help him be accountable for what he's doing? And so we've seen a lot of guys who maybe weren't the biggest hustlers or most committed guys early on, but they grew into it and matured into being better when they were held accountable.
Yes, and that's why culture is so important. When you start to put talented players into a culture, like when you start to look at a team, you can have one knucklehead because one knucklehead can adapt. You just can't have 2 or 3 because they're going to start hanging out together, and now you're going to have a problem.
So on MLB Now, we've got one knucklehead. You guys get to figure out who it is.